We are go for liftoff in T minus 30.
Hit the record button.
Gosh, that's swell.
It's a Low Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to another episode of Italo's Blog Talk Radio. This is Italo speaking, and I have the honor of having another Italiano with us. I'm not sure if he's in New York.
Yeah, upstate New York, about 2 hours north of New York City.
Okay, so I got that right. And so, welcome to my show. Anthony Catalino is on the line, or on my show. And we had a little discussion earlier. So I'm not going to talk about what we discussed before the show.
Okay.
That's between Anthony and me. But, actually, I just met you, it was like a couple of days ago or some time ago. And you were talking about something interesting because I was just, Zoom is, I'm just flipping, right? But I suddenly stopped for a second to watch your live. And what was interesting is that you were talking about body shaming. And I'm like, well, come on, Anthony, you're gorgeous. I'm like, what would you have a problem with body shaming, right? But then the same I would say about myself, right? And I'm like, I was thinking today, I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of body shaming going on here on this side as well. And growing up, I wasn't chubby or anything. I was actually the skinniest. But you know how that goes. Later, as I come out of to the clubs and stuff, I started noticing that I wasn't the skinniest one anymore, and I wasn't able to fit on my medium size, so my 34 waist or anything like that. And I started getting very, especially in the gay community, as I'm quite sure that we have different names for us. We have the twinks, which I thought I was for a moment. Then started going into otter, and then started going into bear, and I'm like, okay, hold on. I am not going to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to label myself in that way. But anyways, that's a little bit of what we're talking about today, body shaming. So let me know if I'm going off subject. Please bring me right back, because I always have a tendency to.
No, I mean, it's amazing where things can take us if we're just open to, I don't really think about the names. I try to take away, take myself out of the boxes. Maybe the boxes might help people feel more comfortable. If you're an otter or you're a twink or wherever you fit, like maybe you'll feel like more welcome. But I like to think that I'm human.
Okay.
We get thrown into this whole idea of being gay, and everyone has an opinion or a belief on it. And what does it do to us? I think for most of us, it's taken us down. And then even deeper, there's this whole idea of like, you're supposed to look a certain way. But it goes beyond, I think, even the gay community. There's tons of people all over the world, like even some of the most beautiful models, like that are on the runways. They're super self-conscious about the way they look. And I think it's one more thing within our kind of mental health challenges that is really a severe problem for the majority of society, particularly in the gay community, that really needs to be spoken about. And I'm taking that plunge. I'm diving in deep. It scares me a little bit, to take this, try to be more vulnerable and put myself out there, because I struggled with image issues for years.
Right.
Yeah.
So when does it stop?
It stops when I get in control of my life. When I learn, and I think that's a massive key word, we don't learn how to love ourselves. We don't learn how to accept ourselves. And it's been an ongoing process for me, but I had to realize, one, that I was doing it to begin with. And I think that's where most people don't even realize it's a problem.
Right. And I think I'm speaking for me. It's actually that inner critic, right? The inner voice that I have, where I see myself in the mirror, and I'm like, I don't even want to see myself in the mirror much. Or mind you, this podcast, or it is now that it's video because it used to be only radio, was very uncomfortable for me. Like to look at myself was very uncomfortable, even if it was just my face and not really all my body. But until there was one day that I had to get naked. It was not what do you think? I had to get naked because it was a production because I'm into theater production, and there was a show called Disrobed where everybody had to get naked. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see it live because everybody had to, in the audience, was supposed to be nude watching this naturist show.
Hmm.
And so I decided, you know what, let me flip this around in my own podcast. And I just did it it wasn't face to face. It would have been hilarious, but I was like, you know what? Why am I ashamed for? Why am I still struggling with this? And I think it has to do with the way my upbringing, which is Latino family. All they talk about is weight, or how much weight you gain. I haven't seen you in a while. Oh my God, you're fat. Oh my God, what's going on? What's wrong with you? And on and on. And it was classmates, it was friends, and it kept going. And then obviously when you come out of the class and you go into the gay clubs or anything, it gets worse. Anyhow, I have more examples, but I don't know when it started. But yeah, I started getting had to start covering myself more,
Mhm.
and wearing more, to cover even my hair or even my wrinkles, or everything is for. I'm very self-conscious about that.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I feel like for myself, it started at a very young age where I was the Italian family and you must finish everything on your plate. And I cooked this whole meal and you must eat to your full. And so I became this like heavy kid. And I remember wearing these like super thick shirts to hide. I mean, the hiding started before I even knew I was gay, like hide from my appearance because I felt embarrassed. I didn't,
Right.
I don't remember like internalizing it, but it literally started at a young age. Like, just like you said, like, I feel like maybe not as many people like, pointed fingers, and my family, if anything, they insulted me for not eating enough. Um, but that goes back like generations and generations of like maybe not having enough. And therefore, when there is a plentiful of food, then you should eat it. You should be grateful and also eat it. But then I lost a bunch of weight right before I came out, and I started gravitating, like a lot of people started gravitating towards like my look. Like I couldn't control that. Like I didn't design my body. I didn't design my look. And that's where a lot of people are confused with. They're like, well, you come across as like this handsome guy, but you, of course, you look great. But in my mind, I never felt like I looked perfect. I was always striving for this perfection and I always felt like a failure. I always felt like I wasn't good enough. I wasn't strong enough. I wasn't beautiful enough. And that messed with my mind. And it wasn't until years after heavy drug usage and tons of body image issues that I was even aware that I was doing it. Like literally every time I was looking in the mirror, there was always something wrong. And what is that doing? That's just bringing us down even further. So that the awareness is really the first step in, I personally think, any sort of transformation. And it's been a work in progress, but I also believe we're like a work in progress and a masterpiece simultaneously. It's not,
Mm-hmm.
we got to give ourselves more credit. We have to wonder, we have to really think like why we're doing what we're doing. Cause at the end of the day, none of us are going to get out alive. Like we're all going to die. And I don't mean to like blatantly throw that out there, but it's true.
Right.
So why do we keep on shaming ourselves, bringing ourselves down? It obviously stems from something,
Right. Not only shaming ourselves, but shaming others. I don't know if you notice how easier it is for us, or I guess everybody, to criticize other people. Even
Yeah.
if you're in one shape or the other, you still have a way to look outside. Like there was a trend on TikTok, and they were basically they were asking people to go see this movie called Nocturnal Animal. and recorded a reaction. Now, I don't know why I recorded my reaction, and somebody actually told me, it's like, she didn't really mean it for me, but she said in general, she's a little bit, on the plus side. But she says, you know what, that's bringing, because it was about a body image joke.
Okay.
And everybody was reacting to the first scene of that movie. And when I saw it, sure, I was shocked, even though I had seen the movie. And I'm like, okay, but why am I making fun of that? Or is that the intention of the movie? But she took it to heart. She's like, no, that's yours. And they're allowing it on TikTok to be trendy. So everybody's jumping on it. Of course, they all wanna have a reaction. And so I took it down. I'm like, okay. I apologized to her. And she's like, no, I didn't even see your reaction. But I felt a certain way. It's like, yeah, you know what, you're right.
Yeah, I think it's pretty typical for us to like make jokes and poke fun and bring people down. It's kind of like part of our society, but ultimately it doesn't feel good. Like at the end of the day, it just doesn't feel right. I've learned that the reasons why we really find it like funny or even necessary to hurt people is because it's the fact of the matter is that hurt people hurt people. I'm a personal freedom coach. I work with gay men, particularly young gay adults, to help like clean up their inner world. We're taught in society it's all about the outside in, and that's just not false. That's just not accurate. That's false. That whole idea of, and this is where I really think it stems from. A lot of gay men think that they need this body in order to get the love that they've craved for years. Like more people will love them if they look a certain way, and that's just not accurate. That's just not right. And so then they shame themselves left and right. I mean, I know people that have six packs and they're unhappy with the way they look. So that's just not the answer. It's an inside job. The more we can fall in love with who we are, just as we are, perfect, just the way that we are, with our scars, our imperfections. I mean, we're human. We're on this planet to have an experience. But we shame ourselves, and therefore that hurt spews out onto other people. So it's important when we're doing that to take a step back and look at what we're actually doing. That just means we need some extra love on the inside. And when someone else shames us, we shouldn't, we should realize that that's just their hurt.
Exactly. Yeah, I didn't realize I was doing that I was actually hurt because somebody told me, who hurt you, because I had a lot of criticism on other people, a lot of resentment, and it turns out it all came down to the family upbringing or the core beliefs that I had, and it did take me a long time to realize what it was, but I still once in a while still fall into it, and of course we're all on social media, we're always looking at those bodies and we're like, yeah, okay, I need to still work on but it just there's no shame on also thinking about working out or thinking about losing weight. It's not just because I used to do it for the wrong reasons. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. That whole idea of like exercising, not to shame ourselves, not because we shamed ourselves for what we ate, but to like strengthen our body for like what it can do for us. I've gotten like pretty heavy into yoga, and it feels so empowering to be feel that strong and just have your heart pumping and your blood flowing. And like, then I feel more in control of my life. When we don't take the driver's seat, then that's when we allow our ego to take control. That's when we allow, too many things to take us over and take us down. But we got to realize we do it and, have that awareness. And then that's just waking us up to realize, hey, we need to direct some light in that space. It's okay. We make mistakes. We're human. It's part of the adventure.
Right. So what got you into this coaching? Because there must be a reason why, or what did you think that it was a destiny, or that it was a reason why you went through what you went through? was so that you can help others, or did you always have that passion to help others?
I grew up in theater and that's a great question. I grew up in theater and hospitality, and an Italian family, so entertaining and that kind of thing. And as like a teenager, people could always come to me and speak to me, and whatever I said to them back just really mattered to them. So I like noticed that spark. But then I went through this, super severe drug addiction for, I don't know, a good 6-7 years in my early 20s. And like, it's almost like I had to go through that darkness to realize that there was something more in life. And so once I started focusing more on myself and like asking more questions and asking for some help, I just started getting better, because I always had dreams of opening a restaurant. And the whole reason behind opening a restaurant was that interaction with the customer, give them some delicious food, uplift their spirit. And then I thought, well, do I want to spend, 16-hour days, 6 days a week in a restaurant building that? It's very expensive to run. Or, I came up with this other idea of like building like a business online where I could work from home and travel the world, which somehow stumbled me upon getting my life coaching certificate. And from there, I just realized, I'm enjoying my life so much more, even though I feel lucky to be alive. And I was in this darkness, and I want to spread that message. Like if I could go through the ringer, anyone can. If anyone can go through the ringer and still be like alive, like you're still in it to win it. There's so much more to learn, so much more to grow. And it's like my life's mission to help other people really see that in themselves.
Right.
Fact of the matter is, we weren't born with all these negative beliefs and all these challenges. We weren't born with any of that. So we learned this somewhere along the way. And it's just a matter of unlearning it and then learning some good stuff, applying it into our life, surrounding ourselves with people that support us. And that takes a while to discover. That takes a while. But the more I can speak about it, it's amazing. You were sharing your story. That helped me share mine.
Do you think it's necessary sometimes to cut people, especially family, out of your life to accomplish, growth?
Do you think it's necessary to cut people out of your life? Is that what you said?
Right.
I find like the more I work on like my self-improvement, the more I like focus on like bettering my life, it's like the people outside of me change. So I never really had a terrible relationship with my family, but there were definitely times where we were definitely separated. We weren't great company with one another. And now I get along great with them. The more we work on our inner world, the more the people that aren't supposed to be there kind of fall away, and we discover a new group of support system.
Right.
It's like a mirror. It's like a reflection. The more we focus on our insides, it reflects on the outside. Right. So now I have a great new group of friends. It's like I almost feel like I've outgrown my old friends. Not that I'm any better. I'm still a human being. I'm still having an experience, but I'm attracting a different like vibration, almost a different energy of these new people, and they complement how well I take care of myself.
That's right.
Thanks.
Yeah, I find that it's actually necessary to well, like you said, they sift themselves out. They see themselves out of your life for a reason. And I always say that sometimes they come back. Like you said, it's not necessarily because they're bad for you or you're better than them. And yeah, I understand that. And I have some connections that I lost for some reason, and then suddenly they come back. Sometimes they come back, especially family, or I call them relatives now, because sometimes I don't. There's a whole thing going on. I don't know if this is trendy or not, but it's relatives versus family. And I realize that they are different things.
Interesting.
And, yeah, when you think about family, right? And you think about your parents, and you think about your siblings, but there's also another level of family where you adopt your own family, you create your own family, your circle, your circle of trust. And so that's what I'm understanding that. Trust me, I haven't even explored that a lot, but I've been listening. Somebody was telling me, it's like, you should listen to this because sometimes your family or your relatives not necessarily are your family, or they're not, you know what I mean? They're not
Sure.
really doing family things. They're not supporting you. They don't understand where you are. They still see you as a kid. They still see you as the, you know, either the chubby kid, or they see you as the quiet kid or the goofy one, and they always bring you back. So sometimes you have to unenmesh or you know what I'm saying,
Mhm.
disconnect, so you can
Yeah.
grow, and they can meet you for the next first time again. Because I keep coming out of the closet, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
In terms of coming out as a poet or a writer or a performer, or I like podcast or whatever it is, right? Or gay also, and or you know what I'm saying? Like it's always a struggle sometimes with family or relatives, and it's easier with friends, and it's easier with your partner. And so I think I've adapted a new family, and I love my family, in all sense of the words. Like they love me. I know I can trust them, and I can tell them whatever I want, and they won't judge me. And they don't care about my body, you know, and I don't care about
Hmm.
theirs.
Hmm.
So it's that's the way it should be. And sometimes with relatives, it doesn't exist. It's
Sure.
kind of sad, but that's the way it is.
Yeah. I love that. And I know you could choose your own family. Like, I don't believe that we choose our family before we come here, whether you believe in like past lives. And yes, you did choose to be with these people with their beliefs and whatnot. Um, but yeah, I think that's incredibly important to, spend time with people that make you feel like sunshine. And if that's actually not your actual blood like family or relatives, there's something to say for I've developed a keener sense of compassion for my family, my parents, my relatives, that they had their sets of beliefs. They have had their struggles. I mean, I don't know what it's like to have children. My parents had four, and my mom went through the ringer. Like, I've grown a sense of compassion that she's gone through a lot of stressful times in her life, and that's helped me because I understand more of what she's gone through. I haven't lived it, but it's helped me have that better relationship. And I think it was necessary to move away. For many years I lived in Los Angeles, I lived in New York City, and I was hours away from them. And I think that's very important to go on my
Yeah.
journey, discover, like you said, you're discovering more things about yourself. And when you have too
Mhm.
many restrictions and too many rules from your family or your relatives, that can hold you back from growth and becoming, who you came on this planet to be.
Mhm.
So I love that you said that. Like, it is a choice. I think anything's really a choice. Happiness, freedom, acceptance. It's a choice. We can choose that at any time of the day. Like, we have opportunities every day of our lives to choose differently.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. And it's like we're always learning something together, right? I assume that you knew it or that you had heard about it, but yeah, if you type in relatives versus family, you know how YouTube is, and you can just go into rabbit holes, and there's tons of stuff on YouTube that I learned about enmeshment, which is, where you can't separate, parents don't separate themselves from their kids, or the mama boy, and
mhm.
there's all these terms that I had to educate myself, because I was not aware of boundaries. I wasn't aware of, what I'm saying, setting limits to talk to toxic people and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
I think there's so much to learn.
totally. And I like to think that, like, life is one big classroom. I've fallen in love with learning all over again. And it took me a while because I feel like as a kid, I wasn't a very good learner. We're put into these classrooms, and we're supposed to be getting great grades and, a letter of the alphabet and like test scores. I wasn't really good at that. Teachers as a kid would help me cheat. They're not teaching about health and wellness and optimism and how to make something of ourselves. That's what I really love to do with my clients, and that's one of the key concepts with my coaching is create a dream life. Choose a dream life. And within that comes a lot of heavy stuff. You know,
Mhm.
we opened this up talking about body image. I mean, I literally struggled with it for years until I realized that I spoke to myself that way. We weren't taught how to love ourselves. As gay men, we're raised in families most likely that don't believe in who we are. And then we go through the shame, we go through this hiding. Even though I had parents that I knew would love and support me, I still took a long time to tell them. And what does that do? That only suppresses more and more fear, pain, suffering.
Yeah.
But I came out of it alive. And I get
Shame on
grace and
them.
gratitude every day. Huh?
Shame on them. Shame on them.
I
They're
could think
making
that.
you,
I don't
you
want
know what I'm saying? Like the shame word is very, very interesting. Brené Brown, I don't know if you heard about Brené Brown and
Yeah,
what she
yeah.
teaches.
She's wonderful.
And so for me, that was another aha moment. Wink, wink, Oprah, because I didn't realize that they were putting their shame. Speaking about body shaming, it's putting the shame on somebody. Is where you don't do that. You cannot place your shame on somebody or say it's not like, because in Spanish, or I don't know if in Italian, they say the phrase in Spanish is "que vergüenza me das," which means "what shame you give me." And it was a moment where I said that in Spanish, and I explained this to my friend, and he says, "Wait a minute, you said the shame you give me. How can somebody give you shame or somebody else give?" You know what I'm saying? Like it does. No, shame on them for saying that, because you cannot place the shame on somebody. You, it's not, it doesn't belong. You don't. You should be actually. They should be ashamed of themselves. That's what
Sure.
it is for placing their insecurities on you.
But I think a lot of times they don't even realize what they're doing. It's like when we judge ourselves or shame ourselves, we don't know enough to stop it. We just think it's like part of life. It's how we've been raised. But I've learned that if I were to put shame on my mom, or like shame on her, yes, shame on her for, doing certain things maybe, or treating me unkindly at some points. But I really believe with what she's been given and where she was in her life, she did her best. So that's where the sense of compassion comes in, that, man, she did her best, and I'm grateful for her love today. But if we judge other people, we're actually judging ourselves. Whatever vibe we're putting out into the universe, it's going to come back and hit us tenfold. So I just do my best to be understanding of my own challenges, understanding of my own past. I don't want to regret my past, because otherwise I wouldn't have all the wisdom I have of my present, and then I wouldn't be able to help people the way that I help them. And so now I'm in this space in my life where, because I've struggled for most of my life with body image, I've entered this like bod competition, and it supports that. I'm sorry.
I've seen that. I've seen your posts. Yeah.
And a lot of people are confused, because they're like, yeah, but you have a nice body. But I didn't think I had a nice body for a long time. And so it was all of my mental, internal battles that I'm doing my best to break free from. And the way that we break free from is putting ourselves out there, breaking through that fear, being vulnerable enough to speak about it, throw some photos out there that people might like, but it's not about, I don't want their praise. Nice comments are great and all, but it's not about praise. It's more about me breaking through this thing that really held me back from more freedom for so long. And it scares me a little bit to kind of put myself out there, because when I win, I get like a 2-page spread in Men's Journal. If that's with a shirt off, and that's like in a magazine that goes across the whole world, like,
wow.
But that's
awesome. That's awesome.
That's me being courageous. That's me breaking through on my fear. Like, that's me getting over something that bothered me for most of my life. And that's what I want people to take from it. Not to look nice in a magazine, because this has been a work in progress for a long time. Okay. Not to gain a physique, a certain look for people, but to be comfortable and accepting just the way that I am.
Wow. Well, I wish you all the luck.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'll vote for you later, but I try to do it on my phone, but anyways, I had to do it with time. I have to. It's a whole thing with Facebook, and I'm like, I don't want to do Facebook. So,
yeah.
Anyways, but actually, we're coming down to the end of the interview.
Okay.
So, anyways, what I want to know is what are your handles and everything, so people can follow you. I'm gonna post anything you mention. Look at your stuff below. But you have a link tree, and you're very organized, which I love. So it'll be easy to find. But yeah,
Sure.
for those that are listening, how can they find you, or what do you want to promote at this time?
Okay. I think the biggest thing is this bod contest. You can vote every day for free. I've gotten through the first few weeks. It's got a few weeks more this week. I'm not even sure when this goes live, but we're getting down to the nitty gritty the last few weeks. So the support there is great. There'll be a link there. You can vote through my link tree. I spend a lot of my time these days on TikTok. My brother finally persuaded me to jump on there because I'm this like goofball character, and I gained some traction pretty quick in a couple months. So I spend most mornings there talking about life, talking about mostly the gay community, how you can better your life, book suggestions, talk about coming out, Q&A kind of thing.
Cool.
And then Instagram as well. I spend most of my time on Instagram and TikTok.
I think you're gonna switch to TikTok a lot more in the future.
Yeah, I spend most of my time on TikTok. TikTok's one of those cool platforms where they encourage you to grow. They help you grow, where Facebook and Instagram, unless you invest all this money into them, they don't really enable you to more people to witness what you're doing. So TikTok's been a great space. I've helped a lot of teenagers, a lot of 20-somethings, a lot of people as a whole just feel better about themselves. Again, we're not going to get out of this world alive. We're all going to die, and we might as well, regardless of the life we've been given, we might as well make the best of it. If I went through the ringer and like feel like I was on my deathbed and I'm alive and I really like my life, pretty much love my life, you can do it too. So
yeah, couldn't have said it better. So thank you, Anthony, for coming in, and I hope that this is part one of several. I want to see your progress. I want to see you win that competition or your contest, and hopefully get your magazine with you undercover.
Yes,
amazing.
To spread a beautiful message of body positivity. It's a big problem in the world, and I want to be a bright light for that to change.
Awesome. Okay, guys, you didn't see this coming, so I didn't see this coming 2 days ago. So thanks for coming through. Okay, here.
Thank you so much.
Go for liftoff in T-minus 30.
Hit the record button.
That's swell.
It's a low blog talk radio.